What a way to launch a new season of the Coach McVay Show, presented by Microsoft Surface. A 30-13 win in the Pacific Northwest, Week 1 over the Seattle Seahawks with the head coach of your Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay, my friend DeMarco Farr. I'm JB Long. Good to see you, Sean. Congratulations.
Good to see you guys. Appreciate it. It was fun to be able to see a lot of the work that those guys have put in. Can't say enough about just watching the way we played as a team, the way they competed, and I thought it was a good start. And I think the best part about this group is they know that, hey, that was great, but let's just continue to put the work in every single day and see if we can continue to improve throughout this thing and see where we can take it. But I love the energy of this group. I love the way that they play together. I thought we really played good complementary football yesterday. And I also love the fact that we learned a little bit about how we want to handle the ebbs and flows of what a real football game entails. Things didn't go perfect in the first half. Guys just stayed the course. I thought that was a real credit to the leadership of the players. The mental and the physical toughness was definitely on display, and we want to see that continue to illustrate itself as the season progresses.
It's week one. You got the win. It's great to have. I mean, but how much did you want this win? How much did you need this win for this group?
Here's what I wanted it for those guys because they put in a lot of work, and I wanted them to be able to just go play the way that I thought they were capable of, and they did that. They've earned the confidence because of the energy, because of the edge that they've brought to the practice field, to a couple joint practices, and this was the first time that we got an opportunity to really see the team that we were counting on, the guys that had earned opportunities to be in some of these starting positions or different personnel groupings that we were activating on both sides or different phases in the kicking game. And I was really proud of them. And I was really pleased to just see them play the way that I know that they're capable of. And I also think they know that there's some things that we can improve upon, whether it be as coaches or as players. But they just want to continue to get better. They like playing with one another. You could see there was a joy that they played with. And I think that's when we're at our best. And I want to continue to see that show itself throughout the year.
I think you hinted at something there. I heard that you're getting information and a data point on this group. We've been so focused on, hey, these new Rams rookies, newcomers, like they're learning you, they're learning your system. But for your coaching staff, I'm excited because all those live reps yesterday, I imagine that's going to inform how you deploy them moving forward as soon as next week.
It's so true, because you have an idea and there was a confidence, there was a belief and that those guys could go play the way that they did yesterday. But until you go do it, really everything is just a bunch of talk up until that point. But the work wasn't fake, the work that's necessary. And it doesn't end just because yesterday went the way we wanted. It continues on. These guys know it. I love the way that these players came in today, the way that they lifted, the way that they recovered, the way that they looked at the film with honest eyes on. There was a couple things that we got away with that worked out for our favor, but that's not in alignment with the operations that we feel like, sometimes the results can be beneficial. Everybody talks about process over results. Well, you got to be true to that even when sometimes the results work in your favor. And I love the way that these guys are coachable. They're accountable. They want to just continue to get better. And I was really just happy for them. That was the important thing. And I thought the coaches did a great job. You could just feel there's a connection between these players, these coaches, the players amongst one another. And that's stuff that you see more than anything you can say.
It's like an honesty thing. Like no one's afraid to be honest.
Yeah.
Coaches or players. You need to be better. You need to be here. Hey, coach, this is what I saw. And then you act accordingly.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, you saw the shirts that we had with the model the way and training camp. Well, it's not exclusive to players. If we're asking this of them, are we doing that? Are we being accountable to the things that we want? Are we being honest with some of the procedural things or our overall communication to provide the clarity for them to then go execute at their best? And there were certainly some things, and that's how it is that, I've got to do a better job and we can collectively do a better job. And our job is to make sure that we don't make the same mistake twice and we continue to use, these opportunities to learn and we're getting our reps so that we can ultimately be better for these guys. And that's what it's about.
One mistake they didn't make is kind of taking the bait in those closing minutes when things boiled over with the Seahawks. You talk about poised for a young group on their own hostile territory. How pleased with you are you with not just that they won, but the way they won in some of those moments?
I loved it. And I love the way the guys competed as hard as they did through the echo of the whistle. And then that was it. And that's what we want to be able to see. We want to play tough. We want to play smart, but we want to play tough and smart. And sometimes those two things don't necessarily run in alignment and they did in our case yesterday. And so whether it was Matthew's mixture of the cadence in the latter part of the game, whether it was our defense being able to make stops and not let some of the extracurriculars affect their ability to move forward, whether it was Skoranek drawing a personal foul. And so those are the kind of things that that we wanted to be able to see. And you mentioned it, I thought there was poise illustrated. I thought there was playing smart and staying connected. And that was exactly what we wanted.
Let me follow up on Sporonic there. That was a little flop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was NBA caliber
stuff.
It was more like soccer.
Okay, but he also goes out there with Stafford as a captain and wins the first coin toss of the year. What's more impressive, that or his game day outfit on the way to Lumen Field?
You know what? I don't know what he wore. You know what he did actually? Yeah. How many buttons did he lose on the way in?
There were buttons on that shirt?
There might not have been,
Okay.
but hey, let him be him. But so I love the way that he plays. I love the way that this team competed yesterday, and certainly Ben is one of the guys that represents what we want it to look like.
Matthew Stafford, I thought played a great game.
Yes,
he was really in charge. He was poised. But when we talk about the quarterback, you got to talk about the butt and gut guys first. I thought the O-line, Seattle threw everything they could at him. I thought they did great in pass protection.
They did. They strained. And I thought the backs were an extension of that. There were some times that we used the tight ends in that, and I was super pleased with that group. And it was another great reflection of a lot of work that's been put in, a lot of time that's been spent. But I thought all five of those guys, you talk about Alaric Jackson, what a stud he was yesterday, the way that he strained, the way he finished. Thought Coleman Shelton did an excellent job. Steve Avila in his first start as a rookie, doing a great job in a hostile environment. I was really pleased with Joe Noteboom playing right guard for the first time. And then Rob Havenstein, just continues to, show why he's been a consistent player for such a long period of time. I was really pleased with Tyler Higbee when we asked him to do some different things. And then Kyron Williams was a stud as well. And then ultimately Matthew having a great feel for the pocket, read and recognize coverage, getting his different eligibles involved, and then the guys making the plays. It's why football is the greatest team sport there is, but none of it matters if it doesn't start up front. And I'm glad you mentioned that because those guys were excellent.
Now that we know who those first five are that you've chosen to be your starting line, competition at left tackle, at center, at right guard primarily throughout the summer. Can you tell us how you arrived at Jackson, at Shelton, and at Noteboom to be those first?
Yeah,
teams?
I think a lot of it was predicated on you're getting Joe off the Achilles injury, and I think you felt like you had two guys that could absolutely start at left tackle, and Alaric Jackson and Joe Noteboom, and we were also interested in seeing how he played at guard, and I think our goal was. Our goal was to be able to find the best five and what we felt like that looked like. And, Alaric earned the job at the left tackle spot, to be able to play at a high level, while also Joe earned a job, to be one of the starting five. And I thought he played so well in the early parts of camp that even when he missed some time and the work that he still continued to put in, whether it was at tackle or whether it was guard, we said, this guy is doing an outstanding job. Steve Avila, a very mature rookie, guy that came in. He's got really great traits, but I think he's really conscientious. Coleman Shelton and Brian Allen are two starting caliber centers, and Coleman really just edged him out, but we feel great about Brian Allen. When you look at what a good job Joe's done of transition, you talk about Joe has started now at every position for us except for center since he's been here. He started at left tackle, he started at right tackle, he started at left guard, and now he started at right guard. And what an incredible tribute to his skill set, his versatility, his athleticism, his ownership above the neck. And then Rob Havenstein has been a staple for us at the right tackle. But when you look at the other guys that we had up with the 8 guys that we can have up on the active game day roster with our 48, Brian Allen, guy that's played a lot of really good football for us at the center spot that can come in and seamlessly step in if need be. I think you look at Tremaine Ankrum, a guy that was really getting a lot of reps with the ones. I think he played starting caliber football coming off of a serious ankle injury last year. Huge credit to him. And then Zach Thomas, another guy that we're really excited about, who has done a great job of playing guard, playing tackle. I thought he got some great work in some of those joint practices to block some really elite rushers when he was filling in when Rob Havenstein was out. And then, by the way, we've got Kevin Dotson, who we're just continuing to get acclimated, to our system and get comfortable. And he's a starting caliber player in this league, and another guy in Warren McClendon, who is a developing player. And so I'm really pleased with that group of 10. But that was how we kind of arrived at the starting 5, but feel like we've got starting caliber players and we've got some depth that maybe we haven't felt like we had in years past that, we're going to need that.
Avila, when you see him from like the shot from the back, I don't think he fits in the couch when he puts on his pads.
It's a good thing.
He's huge.
He is, but he's got athleticism. He can move. He can redirect. He's stout. He's strong at the point of attack. It's why we felt so strongly about choosing him when we did. And, I'm glad we've got him.
Yeah, and Boom at right guard. A lot of options there.
That's
he's so athletic. And he held up one-on-one in some passing situations.
He did a great job. He did
a
a great job in a lot of those instances. And you think you could have taken him if you got an isolated rush with a two-way go as a three technique?
Here we go. This is your show, so no.
You called Puka Nacua yesterday as mature a rookie as you've ever been around. That's I can't think of higher praise than that. I'd love to have you take us through the fourth quarter, 3rd and 8 throw from Stafford to your sideline. Dig into that a little bit, and then if you want to broaden just in terms of what Puka's done to get to this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about if you look at when Matthew let that go and what the leverage looked like, that is a total trust throw. He was, in the way that the rush was bearing down on him, great ability to be able to move and manipulate the pocket, and where he let that go, threw it to a perfect spot. It was kind of a layered concept that we were running, and Tutu wasn't sure if he was trying to back shoulder him or not, but Puka did a great job of coming out with it. Matthew made an unbelievable anticipation throw. That's who Matthew is, and for him to be able to have this sideline awareness, get that second step in the ground on a big 3rd down that we had to have, just look at the sidelines and look at how excited guys got. That really created an energy, whether it was from players or coaches, and that was an awesome play, because that sure as hell wasn't a very good play call right there.
I was impressed with his run after catch, Puka. Yeah, he's so tough. He's bigger than you think.
He is. He's big. He's strong. And the game certainly wasn't too big for him. I thought that's really how our team played as a whole yesterday, and he maximized his opportunities. I thought one of the biggest plays of the game was the 2nd down and 17, where he and Matthew connect in the high fringe for 16 yards to get us to a 3rd down and 1 after made a really poor call on the jet sweep. We end up getting moved back right there, and for those guys to be able to overcome it with a 16-yard gain on 2nd and 17 on the 17-yard line, and then we're able to punch it in with Kyron on the 3rd and 1. That was unbelievable by those two.
See, this is why I love him. Poor call. How about they just made a play? It's never that, right?
Well, there's sometimes I can admit that, but I can also admit to you when that was not a good call. I think the whole left side of their defense was ready for it. Whether it was 58, Julian Love, the corner, that was not a good call in the jet sweep to Tutu down there.
Tutu, oh my God. We knew he could run, but dang, that kid's got some gas.
He does. He's got gas. He's got great aggressive hands at the contact point. Some of the catches that he made over the middle were some of my favorite plays. Obviously, tracking the ball down the field, everybody thinks that's kind of what he does, but he's playing as a complete receiver. You saw him contribute in the run game too, being able to get, connected on guys on the perimeter to spring out some runs, and another guy that's just put in a lot of work, that it was fun to be able to see his work show itself. But if you asked any of his teammates, if you asked Matthew, was anybody surprised by what he did? It's what he's been doing, and I'm really, again, just happy for him.
The stats didn't surprise me because of what you've hinted at throughout the offseason program, but where he got his targets, every quadrant on the field, that to me is impressive in terms of his growth, but also the trust that he's built with the quarterback.
That's huge. If you look at the back-to-back in-breaking routes that he caught, in the fourth quarter, those were huge plays where he ends up hitting them, get an earned first, then you end up going kind of a play action in the shotgun, and he ends up catching another one really in traffic. Matthew delivers a dot right over the middle. He ends up catching it outside of his frame, not flinching, knowing that he's going to get hit. And those two have really, they've got a good connection, and you could see those are you're not letting those go unless you trust that receiver. Sure. Mm-hmm. And certainly I know Matthew feels that way about really his group as a whole, but I thought there were some really special connections that those two had on his 6 catches.
Puka and Tutu both mentioned having Kupp there being important to them. Maybe I didn't appreciate how much Cooper not dressing but still being a sideline presence could be for them.
He's huge. He is he's such a special player. There's a reason why he's looked at the way that he is, and it's not because he's such a great player. It's because he's a great person, the way that he pours into these guys. That was a big deal, to those guys to have him there, to be able to kind of communicate, to be a sounding board on the sideline. And there's nobody better to communicate that than somebody that's done it the way he's done it, somebody that approaches the game the way he's approaching the game, somebody that has experience and an understanding of the, nuances of what we're trying to get done offensively. And Cooper Kupp, even though we certainly missed him on the field, he still made his presence felt in a big way. And I think the way that group played as a whole is a great reflection of his leadership in that room.
It was cool watching him talk to the receivers and then Brian Allen talk to the O-line. Yes. It's just like egoless. Everybody's out to help and try to win the football game. Running the football, I thought we saw a little bit more of Kyren Williams than we thought, at least running the football wise, and he ran hard.
He did a good job, and I thought there were some instances where credit Seattle, they forced us into some inefficient early down stuff. I thought Cam, did a good job with some of the carries that he had, and then certainly, both those guys do a nice job of complementing one another. But Kyren did have some big runs. He did a great job of being able to recognize it and press it and get the ball where it needed to be. And again, it was fun to be able to see that.
Was the impact of the running game, the disposition, and the way you utilized it more impactful maybe than the box score would indicate?
I would like to say yes. I thought there were certain things that, we were too often in some second down and long situations. I don't think you want to have to overcome those as many times as we did, even though the guys were able to do it, JB. But it was something that, we want to be more efficient. We do want to be more efficient, snap in and snap out. But I thought the ability to get runs off was definitely helpful for the flow of the game. But also being able to be so efficient on those second and third down situations to extend drives and then give yourself an opportunity to get some more off, maintain possession for as long as we did. So the answer is yes in a long-winded way, and I could have just said that about 2.5 minutes ago.
No, I appreciate it. Hey, before we get to the defense, and they deserve a lot of run here,
sure
who
do.
Celebrated the 4th and 1 touchdown harder, you or my broadcast partner, DeMarco Farr?
Stop.
It was probably a tie.
Oh,
we were both jacked.
We're not going to show that.
Hey, listen, you can't fake the real emotion. So
no.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to say that we set it up with the bad ones on second and third down to be able to just get that one. But the guys executed, and I think I think DeMarco and I were both equally fired up.
Oh man, you sucked him in, you got him out. That was awesome. Defensively speaking, I know the defense deserves a lot of credit, but so does the offense, because as good of a job as the defense did getting off the field, you guys did a better job staying on it. So it just wore them out. But, we were asking which guys are going to come along with Aaron Donald. And we saw a lot of Byron Young. We saw a lot of Ernest Jones. Yep. A lot of guys. We saw a lot of DK going after their DK. I mean, that was inspiring ball on that side of the football.
It really was. And I thought they did a great job of just making them earn everything. Even in the first half, I think you got to give them credit for some good, well-executed, sustained drives. We kept the ball in front of us for the most part, with the exception of the one scramble to the right sideline where they hit Metcalf off schedule. But I thought, that first drive, to have Ernest Key on the screen on second down to go negative, and then to have DK end up making the break up when they kind of went off schedule, and what, maybe would have been a hold on Byron Young, but he escapes, and you could see DK ends up staying connected to Lockett, forces the break up to force him to a field goal. That was a big stop right there. I love the way we regathered ourselves after the touchdown drive. I love the way in some sudden change situations, whether it be a blocked field goal or even when they got it in good field position, when we ended up allowing them to get a punt return positive after our offense did a bad job, kind of moving ourselves back on our second drive to only allow them to get 3 points out of that. I thought that was awesome. And then for them to be able to say in the second half, they're going to play 16 snaps and hold them the way that they did. I don't necessarily think it was one or the other. I think they just played so well. And then I think the offense was able to play complementary football off of what the defense did, being able to get them the ball back. But, our guys did a great job. It was awesome to see. And then I thought they earned some opportunities to be able to rush Geno Smith in the latter parts of the game. And that was when the rush and coverage really came to life. But I did think there was some really good stuff on early downs as well.
Byron Young wasn't perfect, but you could feel his athleticism.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, he's just getting started, Sean.
He is. And what I love about really a lot of these guys, and I thought our defense as a whole, but if you talk about two young rookies who made an impact, whether it was Byron Young or Kobe Turner, these guys play with a relentless strain and finish and an effort. And that's the thing you feel with Byron Young, and he's so coachable and he's so receptive to it, and he has fun and he just gets better every single day. And that's what you want to see. And I've loved the job Joe Caniglio's done really with that group as a whole. I thought Michael Hoyt made his presence felt. He got Van Valkenburg covering, locking on wheel routes, even though I don't know how often we want to see that, but it was a hell of a job by him. And there was a lot of good stuff for us to be able to learn from, and a lot of things that we can, like we said, there's always going to be things that we can look to improve on, and that's what you love about it.
See, it's we've been talking about we not me for a long time, and it's a lot of these guys are new, but it still carries over. I mean, you talked about the beginning of the year, it's about the veterans leading the way. I guess they really are, because that's inspired ball on that side.
It really is. And from the defensive side of the ball, I can't say enough about Ernest Jones. What a swagger, what a presence, what a magnetism he has about himself. I thought Jordan Fuller was outstanding. God, it was just awesome to be able to see him feeling good and play like the player we know he's capable of, and see the work he's put in to get himself back to the positions he's in, and the physicality, the communication, the ownership he had to get Aaron Donald back. And when you've got, leaders on all three levels of the defense, I thought that was really on display. And then you see the comfort in, DK, and you see the comfort in Kobe Durant as they've accumulated some snaps in their rookie year, and what that looks like in year two. And a guy that's played a lot of football, in Akello Witherspoon. And we talked about Rasheed. So, I thought Roseboom did some really good stuff. I was pleased with, I was so pleased with the defense as a whole. And they'll be the first to tell you they're excited about being able to even execute some things in a little bit higher fashion against what it was a really dang good offense yesterday.
You talked about DK versus DK being worth the price of admission. How important is it to have someone who has the swagger and the confidence, even going into his second season, to take that lead challenge? Because there's one every week in the National Football League.
It's awesome, and I think really those other two corners that we talked about have that same mindset. And that's one of my favorite things about Trey Tomlinson. He came in for a couple snaps at the end, and they're all competitors. I think you better be wired that way as a corner in this league with some of the spots you're put in, and you better have a short memory. And if you don't have, an authentic confidence and a real security to be able to move from one snap to the next, it's going to be tough sledding. You show me a great corner, I'll show you a guy who's had to respond from some challenging downs and some tough spots that they get put in. And so those guys answered the bell in a big way. And that was on display with DK yesterday. I had the one, where we end up having the touchdown, but he ends up responding, and he's got a great play swag, a great play energy, and the game makes sense to him. He's really smart, really conscientious, really coachable, and Aubrey Pleasant did a great job with that group yesterday.
Talk your talk, young man. When you make plays like that, go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah, you can bark if you want to. I think that Roseboom has great lettuce, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah, that lettuce is amazing. Don't you think so?
What is
with
that?
The hair? With the hair,
That's
the lettuce.
Lettuce? I've never heard that before.
You never heard the lettuce? He's got great lettuce.
He does have, he's got, what the heck's wrong with you, man?
He does. He's awesome. No, he made some great plays in there. He really did.
We've come to know him as a great special teams player, but he is quietly behind the scenes been putting together a really good resume as a really good linebacker that was ready to step up and assert himself. Thought he maximized the snaps that he had defensively. You see the urgency he plays with. You see the movement. You just see that he can make plays in the run game. He's got a great ownership of where he fits in coverage, and Chris Shula has really got that room, and Jake Hummel's continued to take steps in the right direction, and it's great to be able to have our guy Troy Reeder back in the inside linebacker room as well.
What'd you make of Brett Maher's bounce back?
Kind of what we expected. He wanted to be able to have that long attempt. Those were, you talk about two tough first, field goal attempts where you're talking about, I think it's 58, 57. That's not exactly conducive for helping our guy out. I thought he was going to hit the one pretty good. We had a protection error on the interior parts, but he hit that where I think he would have made that if we had protected a little bit better on the interior parts in line. But he's a guy that's done it at a high level. I think you better be mentally tough as a kicker. He displayed that, and we're glad that we have Brett Maher here.
Part of that adversity, right? Getting the field goal blocked, but then getting it fixed, so there is no issue after, like you said.
Yes.
You said that, didn't you? That was great for his confidence to have that ability to nail one. Yeah,
I'm not the coach, but I feel better about having Brett Maher as the Rams kicker coming away from Seattle after that
and
second
so does
half.
the coach.
Okay, there you go. And was Ethan Evans going to be the kickoff guy, regardless of who got signed?
If we felt like the guy that we signed, but I think it's actually good, because you have a punter that has the ability to do both in the approach that we took.
Sure.
Now there might be some, I thought Brett did a good job hitting the squib kick at the end of the game. Great location. So when you have really your punter and your place kicker that can kind of be alternate dependent upon the approach that you want to take, that can be a beneficial thing for us schematically.
Yeah. I love what you said to him afterward, like, don't change.
Yeah.
Not that they would after one game, but the power of having something to prove has been a theme of this summer. They proved it. How do you keep that chip on the shoulder for week 2? Well, just have your biggest rival come into your place, lock in that focus for the week ahead.
Yeah, and this is a great team. I don't think there'd be anybody that knows anything other than a huge sense of urgency and a great challenge. But that's why you get into the NFL. And what I think is important too is these guys have been inside out from the jump. You know, there's a lot of things that make this great because people care about what's going on in the NFL, and there's a lot of outside narratives. But you know, I think it's really important that it doesn't really mean anything. It was all a bunch of white noise, whether it was positive or negative. And even if there's some positive things right now, that doesn't affect the way that we go about our business. I don't get the sense that these guys are affected by that. They're motivated by the opportunity to improve, to not want to let the person down next to them, to continue to take their game to another level where they have a growth mindset and mentality. And if we have that, I think you will see improvement throughout the course of the year. And that's exactly what we're hunting up. And I love going to work with these guys.
Yeah, easy to be motivated this week. Just look at the schedule. Look who's coming, right?
Every week you better be motivated.
Absolutely,
you know
yeah. I mean,
you get humbled too easily in this league.
But with a young team, I guess that would be part of the issue is turning the page when people are patting you on the back. You know what I mean? How do you deal with that?
I think you just go back to work. And you know, I'm not naive to the fact that there are things that these guys are, you know, whether they're, you know, social media stuff like that. But, you know, I think if you read it, you see it, you know, you feed it, and whether it's good or bad, it doesn't do anything for us. We want to be inside out as much as possible. And so, you know, we'll continue to echo and articulate that. But when these guys just come in here, they want to go to work. And there's a really powerful thing about when you want to go to work because you want to get better, because you don't want to let that guy down next to you. And when you can create that, and when you have that with the types of people we have in that building, that's what we want, man.
That being said, I won't give the Niners much more oxygen on this show than they need, but it's our first chance to ask you about Brock Purdy and what he's done coming in as Mr. Irrelevant through a 9-game high leverage sample size, and you know what Kyle demands of that position in his system. Just your reaction to what he's been able to accomplish so far.
He's a stud, really great poise, great ownership and understanding. I mean, you can just see the rapport that Kyle and him have with the way that Kyle's able to call a game. You can see how quickly he gets through progressions. I think it's super impressive how quickly he's able to create off schedule, keep his eyes down the field, and have a rapport with guys working off schedule. There's a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different things, whether it's personnel grouping or things that they can present in the run and in the different ways that they can throw the football with the different phases of their offense that you can see he has complete autonomy over. I just think, you know, he plays fast. He's able to process things. He can make quick decisions, and he delivers the ball with accuracy and anticipation. And it's a scary combination with the guys that they have.
Your guy ain't bad either. Just saying.
I totally agree with you on that. I love our guy. I wouldn't want anybody else.
Going to be fun on Sunday. Hope you'll join us at SoFi Stadium. Sean, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys.
First edition of a new season of the Coach McVay Show. Presented by Microsoft Surface and some great lettuce.